Facebook Live ever, so please bear with me. I didn't tell anyone I was going to do that, so that there's no pressure and I can just say what I want to say, and if you're watching it, you're probably watching it recorded, so thank you for taking the time to watch. I wanted to do a live and just talk about my home education experience and offer some support to parents who are now guiding their children's learning at home. I've been really flattered lately that friends have reached out to ask me for support and help because their children are now at home rather than at school. So I just wanted to share some thoughts with everyone. And thank you, babe, for recording it for me. My cheer squad in the background. As most of you know, my career was actually in the corporate world, in law and finance. What you may not realise is that I actually spent a lot of that time mentoring, coaching, managing, training colleagues and other staff. And although I didn't realise it at the time, what I did back then has been really, really useful for the home education journey that we're on. And I guess one of my main messages for everyone tonight is actually that's really relevant for you. We all have transferable skills that we can use to help our children and our family through the current situation and everything that's going on. I've been home educating our two children who are 9 and 6 for 3 years now. We're finding the current situation really difficult because even though we're used to being at home, learning at home, we spend a lot of time at home, we're missing our freedom, our really long nature walks, our dog walking, all the activities we used to do, visiting friends, museums. That was a really core part of our home education because our children are practical and visual learners. So getting out and doing things and having experiences is just central to what we do, particularly our 9-year-old who is totally into natural history, nature, anything to do with that. So that's really hard. So we do know how you feel. When we started our home education journey, it was a really considered decision. Jonathan and I did lots of research, we talked about it. We didn't make the decision lightly and we didn't know how long we were going to be doing it either. I spoke to two very good friends about it and hopefully you know who you are. One of them is my home ed guru, who is a home educator herself and a childcare professional. And my other friend was also a childcare professional in her past. So it was really getting a lot of support from those people. And in a way, I'm trying to give back the support that they gave me when I really, really needed it. So, but even though we home educate, one of our children has been to school. Our 9-year-old spent 18 months at school, so all of reception and also half of year 1. Our 6-year-old hasn't been to school, but was at preschool for a little while. So even though I'm a home educator, I do understand what having a child at school means. I understand the work that gets sent home, the expectations that comes along with it as well. So I can understand the pressure you probably are feeling as well with work being sent home from school, but it's also a really, really good support because they're helping you with, hopefully, with lots of materials and stuff like that. When we started home educating, I had no idea what I was doing. I'd done all the research, I had a few ideas of what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go, but we really muddled through and found our feet as we went. And I'm sure for a lot of you, especially at the moment because this is quite new, it's exactly the same. So totally understand how you feel. We're pretty much sorted now in terms of our home ed approach, our routine, but we do have our moments. We're not perfect. So I guess a really important point is this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. We all know that the schools in the UK are closed for the foreseeable future, and I don't like saying it because obviously it's a bit negative, but it is unsettling. But the positive to this is that it's really exciting. We never get the opportunity to spend so much time as a family and with our kids. You know, Jonathan's working from home. He's into week 2 of working from home, and we love it. He's usually in the office and he doesn't get to be part of our day and our home ed experience. So having him here and all 4 of us together is really, really special. So even when things are going pear-shaped, and for us they do, try and remember that this is special time, it's a gift, and we probably won't get it back. And even when I'm at my wit's end and my kids are driving me up the wall, my husband is annoying me. Yes, it does happen, dear. But anyway, I do try to remember that and count to 3 and calm down. Another thing I wanted to add is that I work from home while I home educate the children. So Jonathan is usually at the office, so it's me at home with the kids, and I'm doing work as well. I'm juggling a job. So I know what it's like for you all being at home at the moment, where you're trying to take on this new responsibility of the children and their education, and also keep your job, work from home, which as well might be something that's foreign to you. I worked from home for a huge part of my career. That was always part of my working life. So for me, that transition hasn't been an issue at all. I've just added the home education to that. So juggling multiple responsibilities, I think one important thing that I wanted to say is one of my friends sent me a quote, and it was, if you can do one thing in this world, it's be kind. And that really has stuck with me, and seeing what's going on at the moment and thinking about others and how we can all support each other. And I think sort of 2 aspects of that. Firstly, be kind to your children. They're going through a huge change, which they probably, especially the younger ones, don't understand. Being at home is probably exciting, but also confusing. So one thing I learned at the very beginning of my home education journey was to be very careful about how you bring school into the home. Because for most children, whether they absolutely love school or they don't, or they're in between, they need a break from school, and home is usually their safe place, their special place, especially their bedroom. So be mindful of the impact that having a school-like atmosphere or structure at home might have on them. I can talk more about structure and routine separately if anyone likes this talk and finds that it's something that they'd really like to hear more about, because I think it's something that definitely needs to be discussed, but that's for another time. But that's just something to bear in mind. I think also be kind to yourself. You have a lot going on. You know, your parents, your employees, business owners, cooks, cleaners, you're doing a lot. So please don't add to that the pressure of thinking you have to teach your children all the time because they're not at school and they're at home, you know. Children learn no matter what they're doing. So don't forget to look after yourself in all of this. I mentioned routine and structure, and I can talk about that separately if it's something that people are interested in. A lot of the questions I've had so far have been around routine and structure. What I would say very quickly is think about it in terms of a routine, not a timetable or a structure, something that you have to follow, but just a general idea of how you want your day to go. You know, we're at home, this isn't school. They have a structure and timetables in place because they have to manage so many students, teachers, resources, and they do a great job of managing all of that. But this is home, so you absolutely don't need to mirror school. Our routine is really, really simple. We get up early every morning, we go for a walk before breakfast, we come back, we have breakfast, we have time together, and then we go into our sort of work part of the day. And the kids do their home ed activities, and I work, and Jonathan works at the moment because he's home. And then we have lunch because that's a natural break, and the afternoon is much more free-flowing. And that's where I get to spend time with the kids. I do a bit of one-on-one with both of them when I can. And we do lots of play. We do lots of activities, craft, Play-Doh, puzzles, science stuff, all that kind of thing. Cooking, documentaries are really good. If things are going a bit pear-shaped, you can always get a documentary on because you can have that feeling of, at least it's educational. So that's always a good tip. We get the kids doing a lot of stuff around the house as well. Our two, they empty the dishwasher, they sort the washing, they put the recycling out, cooking, hoovering, the whole works, because I want our children to be really independent. That's a big motivation for us for home educating. And, now is also the perfect time for you to be able to do that kind of thing with them and give them some real life experience and life skills that they'll take on, with them wherever they go. In terms of routine, which I kind of started on and went off on a tangent, keep it really simple. You've heard our routine, that's literally it. And choose only a couple of things that you really want the kids to do every day. So if you know what kind of schoolwork that they've got to do, choose one or two and focus on that, and that's what they want to achieve during the day, because it keeps it simple and it gives them something to work towards. But even if you're saying before lunch, that's when we're going to get our work done, and then after lunch it's free time, it's playing. And just on that point, play. I don't think we always remember how important play is for kids. I didn't realise initially when we were home educating just how important play is, and I've really seen it over the last 3 years as the children have developed. Play is so important. They're children, let them be children, and this is how they learn social skills. It's learning how to communicate with each other, learning how to negotiate with each other. In our house, that's a big one. Negotiating over toys, negotiating over the rules of the game, what they're playing, how they're playing, who says what, different role play. And through that play, they also form really, really strong bonds, and teamwork is a big part of that. Get the Lego or the Duplo out, that's really good for their motor skills. Get the other toys out, dolls are really good, or figurines, that kind of thing. The one thing I've learned is that when you watch the children play, particularly when they're role playing, that's when you start to see what's going through their minds come out in their play. And I've found it really, really insightful, because I thought something was bothering them, wasn't quite sure, and you watch their role play and the way they interact with each other, the way they talk to their toys, the way the toys talk to each other. It's really interesting to watch. And at a time like this, when everyone's unsettled because we're not sure what's going on, it's actually a really good time to watch them and let them play and see what comes out. Just something that I've found really helpful. I know a lot of parents worry about screen time. We, shock horror, don't actually have a TV. My lovely husband dropped it during one of our many moves, and here's Hattie, our cat. This is life. Our cats get in everywhere. We've had TVs over the years that we've borrowed from neighbours, but we've just never bothered replacing our TV, because although it's part of life and the children do an aspect of their home ed work on it, for us it's a treat. Even for us as adults, we're not really used to watching TV anymore. And that's really good from the perspective of not too much screen time. But I can tell you there are other days when I just wish we'd bought another TV, because there are times when you just need your kids to, download, relax, chill out, and sometimes TV is the perfect distraction for them to help them unwind, particularly when there's a lot of stress or uncertainty going on. So in terms of screen time, our kids love watching movies, but we have very simple rules. All your home ed work needs to be done, and all the toys need to be tidied up and put away. And then we look at movies and things like that. And the kids know that. And it's interesting because they'll come and say, "Oh, can we watch a movie?" And I'll say, "Okay, well, You know, all your work's done, that's great. What about your toys? Are all the toys away? And I'll get, oh, I'll just check. And then they'll go off, you know, to clean up their toys. Half an hour later, they're still playing because they've just gotten completely distracted. And any thoughts of TV have completely gone out the window. So if you do feel like they're watching it quite a bit for a couple of days, you might find then they'll be distracted by something else and then they won't watch it. That's certainly what I've found with our two. You know, even when we had a TV on loan from our lovely neighbour, you know, they'd watch it a little bit, but then they'd be off playing. So don't worry too much. It usually comes out in the wash like most things. Hopefully I'm going okay for time. I've got a couple of other things quickly and then I'm going to stop. There's so much to talk about. One thing though that Jonathan and I talked about and we did want to mention was socialization. This is a big thing that comes up I find, it's the question I'm always asked about home education. Oh, you home educate, what about socialization? The thing about socialization, and I think that's really important given the current situation we're in, is it's not limited to your children's age group or the school setting or the school environment. You know, children are socializing all the time, at home with you, with your other members of the family, with each other as siblings, and they're getting a good mix of adult and child interaction. And, you know, thinking about the positives of this current situation, like I said before, the time that we're actually getting as a family, you know, the current situation in the UK, our lockdown, it's actually a really good experience because, probably for all of us from a socialisation perspective, because we have to remember how to get along, how to be kind to each other, find a bit of balance, because it isn't a short-term solution. So we do have to practice all of that. If you're worried about, you know, them seeing friends, that kind of thing, gosh, get them on video calls. We do that anyway because we have friends all over the world, like I'm sure everyone does these days. There are fantastic apps that you can do for video calls. We did that this morning with friends of ours in Hong Kong. You know, and get them writing to their friends. The other day, the kids sat down and made cards and we sent them. So, you know, having pen pals does sound really old-fashioned, but it's actually really good. The kids love getting mail, I should say, letters and stuff. And the other thing too, in this day and age, gosh, use email, you know, and our kids love to send text messages through our friends and parents and things like that. So, yeah, and I was going to add, from a home ed perspective, I love the fact that the kids make cards, send emails, because for me that's a big tick. That's English, done. You're covering spelling, grammar, creative writing, sorted. It's like when you're doing, you know, stuff in the kitchen with the kids. That becomes a maths lesson and they don't even realise. When you're measuring stuff, whether it's liquids in cups, in grams, you can turn that into all sorts of mathematical questions. I'm going to double this recipe. How much do I need? Or I'm going to halve this. How does that work? It's fantastic. That's the way we home educate and cover off those core subjects. So I'm going to stop talking now. I have been sharing our favourite home ed resources, and the kids have been inputting as well, on my Facebook story. I had a text from someone saying, oh, where is it? It's disappeared. So I've put it all into a post, and I'll make sure it's a post and a story, and I'll keep doing this daily because there's just so much to share and so much to do. So if you've got other stuff that you've come across that's really cool, can you please share it too? It's really good to have that community feel, and hit me with any questions that you have at all. I've had some really good questions so far, and there's no such thing as a silly question. It's only silly if you don't ask the question. And, you know, by asking questions, I can do stuff like this or do a post or whatever, and it becomes beneficial for a lot of people. So on that happy note, I hope it wasn't too painful for all you watchers and listeners and my support team in the background, our cheer squad, including the cats and the dog. Our cat is sitting up here next to me to help me with, you can probably see her tail, there she is. Help me with my live, and she's also meowing as well, so typical Hattie. But yeah, that's all for now. I don't know how else to end, but thanks for listening. I hope it helped, And if there's anything else you'd like to talk about, let me know. I'm here. Thanks very much.